Hey guys, Mr. Muscato with you again. Today we're going to talk about the Walker Project. The Walker Project basically occurs in two different phases. Number one, the Walker himself is a movie clip symbol. We want to create the action of the Walker walking. All right, so his steps. Okay, because as we discussed in class, walking is a repetitive action. So anytime that we have relatively short, repetitive movement, that just sets itself up perfectly for a movie clip symbol. And then the second part, which will be on the second video, will be the background of the project itself, which will be scene level motion. All right. So let's take a look at what we're going to do. All right. So if we go to the Walker content folder. All right, so ultimately we're going to create something that looks like this. All right, so the whole idea here is that we have our stick figure guy walking down the street, and he's just walking down the sidewalk, and the buildings are walking behind him or moving behind him. All right, and he's just walking down the street perpetually, perpetually forever, basically. Basically, here what we're looking at is a movie clip symbol for the stick figure guy, the walker himself, and then the buildings and the sidewalk are scene level motion tweets. All right, so let's take a look at how to put this together. So in this one, what we'll do is we'll develop the walker symbol first. All right, so with any movie clip symbol, I think it's always easier to draw him in a first position at the stage. And we talked about the different positions in class. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to draw this guy at the as a at the contact step. All right, when both feet are on the ground. All right, so I'm going to draw something that looks like this. And again, drawing with a mouse. You guys have pens, so I would utilize those. All right, but here's my guy. He's walking, legs apart. All right, and I'm not going to draw a face or anything yet. All right, this is my basic body shape. I'm going to go ahead and put him in and turn him into a symbol. All right, so modify convert to symbol. I'll call him Walker. All right, so over here on the in the library, we have our Walker symbol. So I'm going to go ahead and double click in the preview. All right, so for this symbol, all right, so when we created the Blizzard project, what we did was we went into the symbol itself. Okay, so remember that we're in the symbol editor right now. We went into the symbol itself and we added a motion tween. For this particular case, what we want to do is we want to draw the walker in three different positions. All right, so first position is a contact step, both feet on the ground. Second position, we'll draw him in the passing when one leg is passing the other. All right, and then in the third position, we'll draw him in the high point, which is where the front leg is sort of reaching out towards the ground, and the back leg is mostly straight. All right. We also saw that video on stop motion animation, and we talked about the concept of threes. So the whole idea here is that we don't want to animate this guy, at 24 frames per second. Ultimately, what we want to do is we want to animate this guy at 8 frames per second. So what we do to do that, right? We don't want to slow down the film itself. But what we'll do to animate at 8 frames per second is that we will display each individual picture for 3 frames. All right, so I have my first keyframe here. All right, and remember that this is the timeline for the Walker symbol itself because we are in the Walker, and we are in the symbol editor. All right, so what I'm going to do is I want this this particular keyframe to display for 3 frames. So I'm going to move out to frame 4. I'm going to press F6. So remember what F6 does, it copies the previous keyframe and creates a new keyframe. Additionally, what it does is it adds time frames, all right, between the 2 keyframes. All right, so if there's room for that. So what we have here is we have one keyframe and then 1, 2 time frames for a total of 3 frames. A time frames function, if you remember, is it displays the contents of the previous keyframe. All right, so what frames 2 and 3 will do is display frame 1. Okay, time frames are also placeholders for motion tweens, but we're not using a motion tween here. All right, so we're going to go to our second picture, which is frame 4. And what I want to do here is I want to remove the pieces of the walker that are going to change. So I'm going to erase his legs and erase his arms. And I'm just using the eraser tool for this. All right, and there are probably much better ways to do this. All right, but for something as simple as a stick figure guy, this is fine. All right, I'm going to go back to the paintbrush. All right, and I want to draw the legs now in the passing position. All right, I'm going to just kind of flip back to the first picture. I want to see more or less where the ground is, where his feet are, so I don't end up drawing his legs too long or too short. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to draw a leg there, and then the passing kind of looks like that. All right. So we have a contact and we have a passing. All right, and then the other thing I want to do is I want to draw his arms. And your arms kind of mirror your legs when you walk. So what happens is that as your legs are closer together, your arms are also closer together. All right, so we have something that looks like that. So we have contact, and then we have our passing step. All right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to draw the last picture. All right, so our third picture. We discussed in class that a normal animating walk cycle can be around 8 frames long. All right, for our two-dimensional figure, our 2.5-dimensional figure, really, that we saw. For a stick figure, though, that walk sequence can be a little bit shorter. All right, so here at this point, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move out to frame, 5, 6, 7, and I'm going to press F6. Again, I want a copy of this current keyframe, and I want 2 time frames. So what I have here is I have another keyframe followed by 2 time frames. Okay, so at frame 7 now, I'm going to, again, erase the elements of the walker that I'm going to change. So I'm using the eraser again. All right, so I'm going to basically remove his arms and legs. Okay, and I can smooth out his body there using the paintbrush. I can, kind of just draw that line back in. All right, and then I'm going to draw this figure in the high point. So in the high point, you have one leg which is back a little bit, kind of on its toe, and then the other leg is kind of reaching out for the ground. All right, so we have something that looks like that. All right, and then the arms are a little wider apart. All right. So we have 3 pictures. All right, contact, passing, high point. Okay, and then we need 2 more time frames for this movie clip symbol to operate correctly. Okay, so I'm not going to press F6 here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to press F5. All right, so I'm going to advance 2 frames. All right, over to frame 9, and I'm going to press F5. And F5 adds time frames. Remember the shortcut keys, right? F5 adds time frames. F6 adds a keyframe. F7 adds an empty keyframe. And F8 is our symbol shortcut. All right, so my walker is a total of 9 frames long. That's picture number 1, picture number 2, and then picture number 3. Okay. If we want to test this guy, we'll go back to scene 1. All right, and right now, when I hit Control Enter, okay, I'm just going to stick him over here for right now. I'm going to have some buildings kind of in the background, all right, that I've already pre-populated, but we'll just ignore those guys for a second. So I'm going to hit Control Enter, Command Enter for the for the Mac guys, and here is my walker doing his thing over here. Okay, so he's doing his thing. That's great. All right, one of the things though that I want to add is an eye and a mouth. One of the things about symbols, all right, well, people walking, right, is that they have usually eyes and mouths. And the head usually bobs a little bit. So what we're going to do here is I'm not going to redraw the head, but what I will do is I will draw an eye and a mouth. Oops, I didn't want to do that. What I do want to do is draw an eye and a mouth. Okay. And by doing so individually in each frame, okay, in each picture that I create, all right, what will happen is there will be a sense of movement because I'm not going to get the walker exactly, or the eyes in the exact same spot, and the mouth for that matter, right, in the exact same spot every time. So it's going to add a little bit of a sense of movement, all right, to our animation, and I'll show you what I'm talking about in a second. And I think that was the right color. Okay. So you see where the eye and the mouth are, right? They're just in a little different spot. Okay, and then in the third picture, I'm going to do the same thing. Okay, and again, a lack of artistic ability is, I find, helpful for something like this, right? So there is my eye and my mouth. Okay. Again, if I run this as a movie, all right, you can see what's going on there. All right, so the eye and the mouth kind of simulate the head bob. Okay, and then the last thing that I want to do is I want to basically color in my walker's head so that his head is not transparent. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to use a white color as paint inside of this black. All right, so it doesn't look like anything happened. All right, but let's see, did we get this right? Not yet. Oh, I have to, I'm sorry, duh. I got to color each individual picture. Okay, so you need to use the paint bucket in each individual picture, right? Remember, 3 different pictures. Okay. Paint bucket here. Okay. Now when we run this as a movie clip symbol, we can see that, let me just position him in front of a building so we can see exactly what's going on here. All right, so we hit enter, and you can see that we cannot see through his head anymore. All right, so there is my walker symbol. So he's ready to go. He's on his own layer and ready to go. So in the second half of this video, what we're going to do is we're going to add the background movement then, which is a scene level motion tween. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to add the sidewalk, and we're going to take a look at how to create the buildings. All right, so we will see you in the next video.